Starting our scientific session paper presentations. For that, the chair that we have is Dr. Tosif Ahmed, who is a prominent population expert in Pakistan, known for his significant contributions as a consultant and technical advisor with United Nations Population Fund, often collaborating with the National Institute of Population Studies, working on family planning, population growth, and sustainable development goals. He has served UNFPA in various capacities, supporting research, policy briefs, and program development for reproductive health and family planning in Pakistan. Please, sir, join us on the stage. Our moderator for this session is Mr. Minhajul Haq, who is the CEO of Population Center Pakistan with expertise in evidence-based policy making in health, population, and education. He has conducted key research studies and teaches population economics at Quaid-e-Azam University. Please, sir, join us on the stage. For our discussant, we have Ms. Rabia Zafar, who is the Director Research and Survey and a Senior Fellow at the National Institute of Population Studies and Executive Council Member of Population Association of Pakistan. Please, ma'am, join us on the stage. And now I would like to give the floor to Mr. Minhajul Haq to please call the presenters for this session. Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum. Thank you very much. First of all, I want to thank the Office Bearer and Executive Council of Population Association of Pakistan for inviting me for this important task to moderate this session on provincial realities and local responses. From last day and the discussion in the morning, we realized that it is very important to contextualize research and all development work, and in a world which is moving from globalization to nationalization, I think this in this era it is very important to look out at provincial realities and local responses, particularly in the light of 18th Amendment, where the subjects that we are interested in have devolved, and it is the provincial government's responsibility to take care of education, health, and family planning. So with this small introduction, I would like to invite Dr. Tahira Sahar, Senior City Manager, Green Star Social Marketing. Also Dr. Salma Zahir, Lecturer, Higher Education Department, Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, Peshawar. Please join us on the floor. And I would also invite Lieutenant Retired AFNS Farhana Tabassum Siddiqui, FEND MSc Scholar, Diabetic Clinic Care and Management, King's College London, UK. Please join us on the stage. I think Naveed Farah, Associate Professor, University of Agriculture, Faisalabad, unfortunately she cannot join us today. So I will then, with your permission, start with the role and influence of mother-in-law and young married couple family planning in Karachi, Hyderabad. Dr. Tahira Sahar to please start her presentation.
Assalamu alaikum and good afternoon to you all. With the consent of the panelists, I would like to start presenting my current study, which I conducted and tried to evaluate the role and the influence of mother-in-laws on young married couples family planning decision in Karachi and Hyderabad division. Let me just tell you the background first, that we are working on a TCI platform. It's a global platform where we support the local government to scale up the high impact interventions for family planning, and this is to facilitate the self-reliance and sustainability while achieving the impact, and this tool supports the FP 2030 commitment. So we are currently working in 15 cities, 15 districts of Pakistan. So we are working on the high impact interventions like community health workers, facility makeover, family health days, satellite camps, through which we have engaged more than 5,000 community health workers. We have done the makeover of more than 66 facilities in Sindh and Punjab and Islamabad. And through the family health days, we have entertained more than 6 lakhs FP clientele through our family health days, and more than 4 lakhs FP clients were entertained in the satellite camp. So in urban South Asia slum, uptake of family planning is often dependent on the family members, especially the role of mother-in-laws and their husbands is very crucial when we talk about Pakistan's cultural norm and the dominance, male dominance, and the mother-in-law's dominance society we live in. So an understanding of these dynamics becomes very imperative for culturally appropriate FP interventions to be designed, and the objective of this study too is to qualitatively evaluate and explore the role and influence of mother-in-laws on family planning decisions of young couples in urban slums of Karachi and Hyderabad, in order to identify that what were those barriers and facilitators to contraceptive uptake. Methods we use, so it was a convergent mixed method study, which we have done it in January to June 2025, and we have integrated qualitative and quantitative components. So this design was actually adopted for the in-depth understanding of the social dynamics and was centralized to research questions where quantitative patterns has supported the study, but it did not drive the conclusions. So the qualitative results have shown the immense impact. In Karachi, we have taken the 120 young couples. That means that 240 individuals took part in this survey. Whereas in Hyderabad, we have taken 100 young couples, and each couple included a young married woman, which was in the range of 18 to 30 years, and her husband. Mother-in-laws of all participating women, they were interviewed, and they were 220 in frequency. So 660 individuals participated in the study. Whereas the in-depth interviews IDIs was concerned, we tried to explore the family planning knowledge and their perceptions, also the household power dynamics, the decision-making roles of that family, and what were those health beliefs and the religious beliefs, how this was intervene, and their experiences with the contraceptives. So the IDIs, focus group discussions, and the questions which were structurally designed for the quantitative module. So it was regarding the contraceptive use and the perceived mother-in-law influence, decision-making autonomy indicators, and their exposure to FP counseling, and what were those beliefs about the side effects and the religious permissibility. So we have done the data analysis, and we for the qualitative, we tried to evaluate the themes, what were those themes erupted, and using the NVivo, we have done the analysis. Let's just discuss the quantitative results first. The qualitative ones are more very interesting, but the stats we will discuss first in the quantitative one, and I'll come to the qualitative ones later. So whereas the quantitative results states that prevalence of mother-in-law influence on contraceptive decisions, so it was 68% in Karachi and 72% in Hyderabad. And whereas when we see the modern family planning used by the level of mother-in-law influence, so it was about 42% in Karachi, where they have high influence, and where the influence was low, so the contraceptive use was higher. So inversely proportional it was when we tried to evaluate this influence, 76%. So whereas in Hyderabad, where the influence was higher, the contraceptive use was 38%, whereas the influence was low, it was the similar percentage, that was 70% in Hyderabad. So there were common misconceptions among mother-in-laws, and those common misconceptions were regarding religious beliefs. The second thing was the infertility. They have the thought that contraceptive can cause the infertility in the later stages. Contraceptives weaken the woman, and also the FP increases the marital conflict. So these were the percentages in which the misconceptions were find out and evaluated. So preferred interventions for improving FP uptake, like counseling sessions, have worked. 75% of the individuals where we have conducted this survey. Community workshops has shown 68% of the results. sharing positive FP experiences from the early adopters, so that was 71%, and couple focused counseling has resulted us in 49%. Let's come to the interesting part, which were the qualitative results. So overall, three themes which were identified through NVivo, and the very first theme, it was about the mother-in-law's authority over the household power structures. So and the sub themes were like they were expecting early childbearing from their daughter-in-laws, so that was the one theme. And preference for the sons. I was just present in the previous session before the tea, and I was I observed the same thing, which the girl from the Quetta has asked the same question, that the preferences for sons. And this was the sub theme which I have even find out through my analysis as well. And last, the mother-in-law approval required for any FP use. So that was the one theme which we observed. And the mother-in-law from Karachi, she quoted that a newly married girl should not think about spacing. It's not her place to decide. So this is how the perceptions are, unfortunately, in our society. And a very young woman in Hyderabad, she said that I cannot start anything without telling my mother-in-laws. She will be very upset to hear this. The second theme was about the misconceptions and moral beliefs around the contraception. So this was we highlighted theme which I find out. So it was about the religious disapproval, which we have heard most of the time, that it's using these method angers God, and children are his decisions. So this is the major phenomena. This is the major frequent hearings statements that you get it from the society. And also a mother-in-law from Karachi, she said that my neighbor become barren after injections. I don't want that for my own daughter-in-law. So you see how the fear of fertility is there in our society. And also the health myths, it's about the future complications, that if my daughter-in-law will adopt any method, so she'll probably face the future complications, or it can cause cancer, weaknesses, and etc. And last, it was about the emerging facilitators for FP acceptance. So the first two themes were little disappointed to know the cruel reality or perspectives of the people that resides in Pakistan, and especially in Sindh. But this theme has given me the hope that at least the influence of trusted early adopters, like women who have adopted, who are young, so they are portraying a good image to adopt the family planning methods for other young girls as well, right? Also, the religious clarification is a turning point. We often realize that now the awareness is going on. The education sessions are being delivered by the Islamic scholars, especially the imams of the masjid are playing the active role, and they are now supporting the FP methods. And also the desire for economic stability and reduced household burden. Again, the inflation rate is very high, and since we have moved from the developing countries to the underdeveloped countries, and inflation is the very one component that it convinces the men of the society that if we'll have lesser children, so we'll have lesser burden on our economic stability. So a very young woman from Karachi, she stated that when a lady from our lane told her story, so my mother-in-law, she listened, she respects her. I mean, she is getting convinced when others are telling that you can have the FP choices as well. And a husband from Hyderabad, he said that if the Maulvi explains it, people will believe. So this is the reality. When the influencer says that, when the educationists say that, when the Maulvi, when the imams of the masjid speaks about it, so everybody believes. So my recommendations after this pilot, after this study, so mother-in-laws focused on FP education sessions, because by addressing addressing two main misconceptions. That was the religious prohibition and infertility fears. We can, move further. Peer education model for mother-in-laws. Also the family level joint counseling that involves the husband, wife, and the mother-in-laws. So that can also work, and that can be delivered by the community health workers to, clarify the roles and reduce the resistance for FP. Another recommendation, which is an important component, religious leader engagement, because community sessions explaining Islamic guidance on birth spacing, that plays a very mandatory and very crucial role. And these addresses concerns reported by 54% of the mother-in-laws. And use social learning through real life stories, because we live in a social media era, and where we see that the successful stories, even we are convinced with the idea, right? So short videos or in-person sharing by the FP early adopters from the same slums, and we can highlight the health benefits and reduce financial burden. So these are few recommendations after my study. And conclusion is just this, that urban slums of Karachi and Hyderabad, mother-in-laws have a considerable impact on the family planning choices of young married couples, but modern contraceptive use and contraceptive friendly households can be improved through culturally tailored education, community workshops, and sharing of success stories aimed at engaging mother-in-laws. Thank you.
Dr. Tahira, thank you very much for keeping the time. You were 2 minutes early in finishing your presentation, so thank you. I now invite Dr. Salma Zahir, lecturer, Higher Education Department, KP Peshawar, to present her paper on examining women's reproductive agency within gender norms and power dynamics in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa.
Good morning. So today I am presenting examining women reproductive agency with the gender norms and power dynamic in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, which I have take my own district because I belong from district Sawabi. So first one, I will introduce what is the women reproductive agency, what is gender norms, and what is power dynamic. Basically refer to the woman's ability to make autonomous decision about her reproductive health is related to the woman reproductive agency. That is the pregnancy, the childbirth, and choices about the contraception. While the gender norms refer to the gender-based role, behavior, expectations, and society considered per individual. For example, restriction the female freedom and promoting the male authority in reproductive health and family planning, especially in a district Sawabi. While the power dynamic refer to the distribution of the power that affect the woman's ability to make independent decision about their reproductive health. So this is the statement of the problem. Women reproductive agency in the district Sawabi of KP is significantly influenced by the traditional gender norms and power dynamic that limited their autonomy in making reproductive health decision. Regardless of national and international commitment to the gender equality and reproductive rights, the women in district Sawabi of KP continue to face the cultural and economic barriers that restrict their decision-making power about the reproductive agency. So this is the significance of the problem. The first one, it increased awareness in women about the reproductive rights and their choices. The second one, it provided the better policies for a woman's health and awareness of how the gender norms and the power dynamic affect the reproductive agency. The third one, it highlights the barrier women face in a reproductive health. And the last one, it helped to promote the gender equality and reproductive rights in a conservative society, especially in a district Sawabi. This is the research question. My study based on a different research question. The first one, how much do women understand regarding their reproductive choices? The second was, does the gender norms affect the women reproductive choices? And the third one, how do power dynamic affect the women reproductive choices? What these factors affect the women decisions regarding family planning and contraception uses? And another one, what are the common problems encountered by the woman during the pregnancy and the childbirth? And the last one, what are the most effective techniques for enhancing the woman reproductive agency in KP? So on the basis of my research question, I have conducted some research objectives which is related to the research questions. And the next one, this is the research methodology. I have used the qualitative methods in which we have take a sample size. The sample size is my district Sawabi, in which I have take the 4 tehsil, Topi, Lahore and Razor. And the next sample size, which was based on educated and uneducated married women, the age 15 to 49. Further, the different responses of the women are classified according to the different age of groups. And data collection method based on 3 methods. The first one, I have conducted the survey. The second one is interview, and the third one is a focus group in which educated and uneducated married women. So the main analysis is depend on my research questions and research objectives. On the basis of the first research question and research objectives, I have conducted a survey in which we have asked how much women understand regarding their reproductive rights and reproductive health care. So this are the different percentages according to the different level of understanding. The first one, only 25% of the females have keep a high understanding. The reason is that because they have higher level of education, they belong to the urban residency, higher awareness about the reproductive rights and no restriction of the barrier. Only 35% of women have a moderate understanding about the women reproductive rights and health care because they have a intermediate level of education, small awareness, limited culture barriers. And the 30% of women have a low understanding because they have low level of education, rural residency, lack of awareness, and the culture barrier. The next finding is totally based on my second research question and the second objectives, in which does gender norms affect the women reproductive choices in a KP. So yes, definitely gender norms affect the women reproductive choices of the KP. So these are the different responded of the women, in which 65% of women says yes, 65% of women agree yes, the husband decided the number of the children, especially in a conservative society, conservative region, like for example in my district Sawabi. And 75% of agree yes, the women require the permission to access the reproductive health care. And 60% of women agree yes, in this region the contraception uses is considered taboo, and only 30% of women are taking involved in reproductive decision making. The next one finding is based on my third research question: how to power dynamic affect the women reproductive choices. So these are the different effects in which yes, the husband decided the family sizes. 75% says yes, we have need a permission to from their husband or from male to visit the reproductive health center. 40% of women says yes, this discussion for the using contraception. Only 40% of women discuss only the contraception openly because showing a reproductive discussion are not possible due to the male dominance. 65% of women state yes, the financial control by the male. In this region, the female are totally dependent on the finance of the male. So it's mean it affect the woman ability to make independent healthcare decision. And 28% of women reported the mutual decision making, highlighting a lack of partnership in the household reproductive decision. The next one, what factor affects? So these are the different effects. What factor affect the woman decision regarding the family planning and contraception uses? So these are the different factors which also affect the woman decision regarding the family planning and contraception uses. The first one, the husband approval. The second one is the religious belief, access to the health services, education level is must for women, and family and social pressure, economic constraint, and awareness from the health worker, social media. So these are the different percentages. Yes, 72% of women says the husband approval. 60% of belief, yes, the religious belief is also matter. So the next one, what are the common problem encountered by the women during the pregnancy and the childbirth? So these are the different common problem in district Sawabi which are encountered by the women during the pregnancy and the childbirth. Lack of skilled birth attendant. This is the main problem. And the next one is a poor pregnancy care. Let's suppose, for example, 65% of women affected by the poor pregnancy care. 60% of women deprived from the receiving time and satisfactory care due to the financial constraint, and 55% of women deprived from the transportation issue, especially in these regions, and 50% of maternal health care of women affected by the traditional belief and the social norm, and 40% of women is demoted by domestic violence and the lack of family support during the pregnancy, and 35% of women pregnancy suffer from the poor nutrition. The last one is which effective techniques should be necessary to enhance the women reproductive agency in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa. So these are the effective techniques which if we can use in these regions, so definitely the women reproductive agency in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, especially in district Sawabi, can be enhanced. So community health education should be hona chahiye. Women support ka program, involvement of the religions and community leaders, the mass media campaign, male environment and reproductive dialogues, or the last one is legal and policy reform. So this is the final conclusion. The study has critically examined the relationship between the gender norms, power dynamic, and women reproductive agency in district Sawabi of Khyber Pakhtunkhwa. The finding revealed that the women reproductive decision making remains significantly affected by the male authorities, social and cultural expectation, and unequal household power dynamic. These factors collectively restrict the women autonomy over their reproductive rights, including the decision about the contraception, family planning, and maternal health. So the study also highlighted the limited access to the education and lower awareness of the reproductive rights that constrain the women's ability to make reproductive choices. Male dominance in household decision making and the lack of the spousal communication were found to be a major barrier to the reproductive agency. In contrast, women with a higher education background, the financial independency, and support a male partner show a greater confidence and participation in a fertility-related decisions. So finally, the enhancement of the women reproductive agency require a multi-dimension approach that include empower the female education, increases access to the reproductive healthcare services, promoting the male engagement, and reforming the policies to protect and empower in a reproductive decision making. So this is the policy recommendation. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Salma, for a very informative presentation. And thanks again for keeping the time. I now invite Dr. Lieutenant Retired Farhana for her presentation. And please, you also have 15 minutes. Or maybe you can take 5 minutes more from other,
that would
gaining
be great.
from other people's time. Thank you.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Namudu Rasulillah Rasul Kareem. Amma baad. मैं फ़रहाना तबस्सुम पाकिस्तान की पहली एडवांस नर्स प्रैक्टिशनर in 2005 I did the advanced nurse practitioner course. Till the date, for 20 years I am still the only advanced nurse practitioner, although my license doesn't carry that because Pakistan Nursing Council does not approve that yet. I have become the second time advanced nurse practitioner in diabetes clinical care and management. I secured the scholarship at King's College London for doing the clinical care diabetes management, and recently I earned that degree. My epigraph on my thesis front page says, in Pakistan, the future of diabetes care depends on nurses who dare to step forward beyond tradition and lead the way to make a difference. The very good news is that we have beaten India and China. But the very bad news is that we have beaten them to be in third in the world for diabetes prevalence and incidence. And it is surging like fire in Pakistan. And there are equal 33% of the number who are living with diabetes. Equal number is with pre-diabetes, which is not yet diagnosed. And the sustainable goals 3, 4, 5, they all relate to our healthcare. Recently, the Federal Minister of Health, who launched my program of 6-month course, he said, you doctors and nurses, actually you are not doing the healthcare. Stop calling it healthcare. Call it sick care. Because you are taking care of the sick people, you are not doing the primary healthcare. Although it's not 100% correct, people here who are sitting here, They know that how much work they are doing at the primary level. But because of the NCDs and diabetes and women health, reproductive health especially, we still need a lot of work to be done. International Diabetes Federation main theme was access to care, if not now, when? Diabetes care, nurses make a difference. That was the theme. Before that, I started the diabetes care. And this is my dear friend from Aga Khan University. She is 1 year junior to me, but she is far ahead of me doing the PhD and postdoctoral. She's in Sharjah University. She says that I have done the difference. I have made the difference. Now you nurses, it's your turn to make a difference. And how we can do it, I will show it in this video, just 2 minutes only. In Crimean War, and a woman who was looking after the battlefield people realized that more patients are dying with infections instead of battle. And that nurse we know today is Florence Nightingale, whose work in infection control, her diary has become the infection control guidelines. One nurse in Australia, she realized that after polio, certain exercises, if they are done, it benefits the patient. And now we know in the modern world, this nurse invention as a physiotherapy. One nurse in UK, she realized that exposure to sunlight makes children jaundice fade away. And now the phototherapy is part of every neonatal care in the hospitals. Nurses in America, when the outbreak of AIDS happened, they invented things for the isolated patients. They did everything in their power to make the patient to feel comfortable, to feel loved one. One nurse in Liberia, a student nurse, she realized that Ebola virus eruption, how she is going to look after her family. She used the duct tape and dustbin bags to protect herself to transfer the patients. And now we use that PPE that was intended by a student nurse. One nurse looking after the Bell's palsy patients realized it's very difficult to communicate for these patients. So she invented a software, and then she was the one who made these cerebral palsy patients make a difference. So my journey till today here, it was a serious business. All it takes one coach to believe in you, that what you want to do is feasible, is applicable, is practical. I was very fortunate to have 3 mentors. Dr. Shabin Naz Masood, a known gynecologist and diabetologist, especially in Sindh. Whole Pakistan knows Dr. Abdul Basit, the diabetologist, and Hassan Syed. In National Idea Bank, he's the one who trained me to present. And out of 3,750 ideas, my idea of empowering community health nurses to deal with diabetes and NCDs in the community won, and I won the prize at 4th position in health from President Alvi. Then I secured the Fend scholarship. It was very expensive. Definitely I could have not afforded doing it. My success is not just overnight happen. It's a journey of years and decades. I had a wonderful team, people who believed in me that what I am saying is feasible, practical, implementable. And this is the paper we recently published, and one of the co-author is sitting here, Dr. Javeria, that the research I have done for this thesis actually became the national survey, of first Pakistani nurse-led national survey of diabetes awareness and knowledge and perception of nurses working in Pakistan across 62 cities. 1,220 nurses, graduate nurses, responded to this survey. The president of Pakistan Nursing and Midwifery Council, who attended our launch 2 years ago, she said that nurses like you sitting in this hall are actually the change maker, and you will achieve what you are dreaming. My journey as a nurse is very global. I went to 17 places in the world because of the nurses. And this is the background of my study. Diabetes is spreading like fire, and there are 33% of the public living with diabetes. But this burden of NCDs and diabetes, we don't have a single nurse trained for NCD management or diabetes management, not a single nurse practitioner in Pakistan, not a single advanced nurse practitioner in Pakistan except me. So this is a systemic review of finding gestational diabetes management, that how many women are actually suffering who are with diabetes, or diabetic mother who become a pregnant, or a mother who become a diabetic during the pregnancy. And this is a very, very important study, meta-analysis done, that we need a standardized screening at the community level, at the primary prevention level. My study found out that we have a very limited knowledge at entry level, even graduate level, master's level nurses. They have a very limited knowledge of diabetes. They have a very big lack of structured training in Pakistan. In our curriculum, diabetes, a single module, does not exist. It goes into the medical and surgical module. In 6 months, you study everything. We have a very minimum exposure to people with diabetes and very limited nurse-led practice environment. I launched the first nurse-led 8 weeks training program at Al-Kausar University in Karachi, and it was so successful that 70 graduate nurses and few allied health persons have joined that course. They wanted to know more about the diabetes so they can look after their families, their communities, their patients. And we need access to that standardized policy. You can see that after that 8 weeks of course, the feedback taken, 39% said they have increased the knowledge. 46% that they have their improvement in the clinical. Although there are only few in-person classes, most of the classes were online. I have given them the assignment, clinical practicum, a research project, and some videos, and still they said there is a significant change in their knowledge, their awareness, their clinical practice. This is the paper which is recently published. So, this is the findings of my study, that we need structured diabetes curricula at advanced nurse practitioner level and nurse practitioner level. I will make it clear. Any graduate nurse can become a nurse practitioner if she does a module on diabetes care and NCDs care. Any nurse with a master's degree can become an advanced nurse practitioner if she has got some modules gone through, especially after the study or during the study. In England, I can do a clinic because I have done this study from England. In England, if they do a 6 month of pharmacology module, then they can prescribe as well. Only thing is that they need to be empowered. We need doctors and nurses and allied health professionals to deal with diabetes and NCDs at the community level. And this is very well aligned with the conference theme which we are attending today, that there are challenges, there are issues, there are difficult situations, but all of us, we have to make a difference. And all of you who are sitting here in this hall definitely are making a difference, because if it was not, they will not be sitting here. They have taken their responsibility, their share, their passion to do something for the public health, primary care, for the population. And it shows that your presence, although if we don't have a lot of audience here, but I count you 50 as not only 50 people. You are 50 institutes here. You are 50 families here. You are 50 cities here sitting. So there is a hope. We can do the reforms. We can bring the reforms in our patient care. And we can bring the strategic improvements as well. मैंने सिर्फ ज़िंदगी में एक ही बात सीखी है कि हार नहीं माननी, चलते रहना है. 20 साल से पाकिस्तान नर्सिंग एंड मिडवाइफरी काउंसिल ने कहा मैं ना मानूं मेरी डिग्री को, जो कि मैंने अपने पैसों से 18 लाख रुपए खर्च करके इन कैंपस जाके यूनिवर्सिटी ऑफ नॉटिंगम में ये अचीव की थी. लेकिन उनके ना मानने से कोई फ़र्क पड़ा? मेरे लाइसेंस में नहीं लिखा हुआ कि मैं एडवांस नर्स प्रैक्टिशनर हूँ, लेकिन मैंने पूरी कोशिश कर ली कि अपने साथ मज़ीद 50 लोगों को इस लेवल पे ले आई. और मैंने पर्सनली स्कॉलरशिप हासिल की सऊदी अरब से, अपने एक्स एम्प्लॉयर से. सऊदी हैं वो फैमिली, एंड आई टोल्ड देम in 10 years I left this job in Saudi Arabia. I never asked any favor from them. I just sent a message, I need a scholarship for the nurses in Pakistan. I want to do the diabetes care. I have done a fantastic home care nursing for their VVIP patients. I have established the biggest home care nursing there. So what they did, she just sent me the money to train these nurses at Al-Qasr University. शिकवा जुल्मत इस शब्द से तो कहीं बेहतर था अपने हिस्से की कोई शमा जलाते जाते. हमारे यहाँ यूथ स्पेशली यही कंप्लेन करती रहती है, फ़लाँ गवर्नमेंट आई थी तो उसने हमारे प्रोग्राम्स को बंद कर दिया, नवाज शरीफ आए तो उन्होंने इमरान खान की ख़त्म कर दी, हमारे यहाँ सिंध में भुट्टो अभी तक ज़िंदा है. लेकिन हम क्या करें? क्या हम छोड़ दें काम करना, जीना, अपनी मेहनत करना? मैंने कल अभी कोई बैठा हो यहाँ पे तो अच्छी बात है, सुन लें कि पॉपुलेशन काउंसिल के कुछ जिम्मेदारों से सवाल किया, आपने इतनी प्यारी ये डॉक्यूमेंट बनाई है, इतनी अच्छी है कि कम्युनिटी मिडवाइफ क्वेश्चन में यूज़ किया है, लेकिन अनफॉर्चुनेटली मुझे इस पूरी किताब में किसी भी कम्युनिटी मिडवाइफ का ना नाम नज़र आया, ना इंस्ट्रक्टर का नाम नज़र आया, ना किसी प्रिंसिपल का नाम नज़र आया, ना किसी कम्युनिटी मिडवाइफ की तस्वीर नज़र आई. तो फिर किसने की ये ट्रेनिंग कम्युनिटी मिडवाइफ्स की? अगर किसी डॉक्टर को आके हकीम सिखाएगा तो क्या डॉक्टर बन सकता है?
You have 3 more minutes.
तो हमें तो ये देखना है कि हम इस सिस्टम को कैसे सही कर सकते हैं, और हमें अपने हिस्से की शमा जलानी है, क्योंकि हमने काम करना है और हमने इस डायबिटीज़ केयर मैनेजमेंट को पूरे मुल्क में इस ट्रेनिंग को इसलिए फैलाना है कि हमारी कौम को ज़रूरत है, हमारी फैमिली की ज़रूरत है. थैंक यू सो मच.
Thank you, Lieutenant Farhana, for a very informative presentation. I just want to, I'm not a population council, but I have seen that study on community midwife. It is one of the ethical consideration not to give names of your respondents and not to publish photographs when the respondents say they cannot publish. So that is why that we do. We don't never ever mention the name of our respondents, and I think that's a international standard, not a practice which is limited to an organization. So anyway, we have, by the grace of God, you thank to all of the presenters. They were on time. I now turn to Dr. Tawseef for his comment.
Thank you. The first paper presented by Tahira Sahar, The Role and Influence of Mothers-in-Law on Young Married Couples Family Planning in Karachi and Hyderabad, Pakistan. This paper, this research fills a critical gap by examining intergenerational power dynamics within households. The paper highlights the reality that family planning decisions in Pakistan are rarely made by the couples alone. They are collective family decisions. And I just want to add, it was a very good paper, and just want to add 2-3 points, like further exploration of how mother-in-law themselves learn and internalize these norms. You can have some ideas on this perspective. More detailed analysis on how young couples negotiate or resist their expectations is needed. And you have used the qualitative and quantitative methods, which is a very good methodology. But I think you must add socioeconomic status when you are taking the perspective of educated and uneducated respondents.
Who I have added in the recommendations, and one of the themes highlighted the socio-economical sub-themes.
And also the urban-rural distribution is also needed for the paper. Thank you. The next paper was by Dr. Salma Zahir, Examine Women's Reproductive Agency with Gender Norms and Power Dynamics in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, KP. The paper addresses the critical but underexplored dimensions of reproductive health in KP, how gender norms and power structures shape women's reproductive agency. The paper highlights that reproductive decisions are not only about availability of services, but about social permissions, control, and negotiation within the households. Just 2-3 points to add. More explanation may be added on how women define agency within their own cultural context. What does empowerment look like to the respondents? Considered distinguishing rural and urban KP dynamics. These are very important. And the possibility of integrating men's voice at as they shape a women's agency. A need to add linking findings to the provincial FP 2030 commitments and KP Health Department's priorities. Women in KP are not passive. They are navigating layered constraints with remarkable resilience. Our policies and interventions must therefore go beyond service delivery and focus on transforming the gender norms and power dynamics that shape reproductive agency. The next paper by Farhana Tabassum, Transforming Human Capital Through Nurse-Led Diabetes Education, a national initiative to bridge knowledge gaps and improve NCD outcomes in Pakistan. Yes, this is the highest prevalence, I think, NCD in Pakistan and globally too. This paper is timely because it shifts focus from physician-led care, which is insufficient for the scale of the problem, to nurse-led education, a model with proven success worldwide. Just to add 1 or 2 things, you must include some details on HbA1c levels and other complications while recommending the nurses' education on this diabetes. Access differences between the provinces or facility types, urban, rural. These, I think, for the paper, these background information must be captured, and then we can recommend the program for the nurses. This paper demonstrates the nurse-led diabetes education is more than an intervention. It is a national strategy to build human capital, reduce the non-communicable disease burden, and enable patients to truly take charge of their health. Thank you.
Thank you, Rabia. Now to Chair, who will conduct question answers and final comments.
Thank you indeed, all the presenters and discussant. Thank you all the audience who are here in the hall. Let me begin with the question answer session first before I comment.
क्वेश्चन ही कमेंट है बल्कि तो मैडम प्लीज़ हमारा जो प्रॉब्लम है वो वही है और कि हमारी सप्लाई साइड बहुत ख़राब है. डिमांड साइड में कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं. डिमांड साइड हमेशा ऐसी होगी, कुछ लोग यूज़ करेंगे कुछ नहीं. आपका काम है कि आप प्रेजेंट करें. दूसरा जो कमेंट है डायबिटीज़ पे, 2007 में व्हेन आई लैंडेड इन सऊदी अरेबिया, सऊदी अरेबिया वाज नंबर 1 इन डायबिटीज़. 30+ में 29% उनकी प्रेवलेंस थी डायबिटीज़ की. और वहाँ के लोग जो है ना खजूर और बेकरी और जो है ना एक्सरसाइज का कोई सवाल ही पैदा नहीं होता था. और वहाँ जो हाल था, ओबेसिटी कितनी ज़्यादा थी. 2025 में जाएं, हर शहर में 100 से ज़्यादा जिम्स हैं, वॉकिंग ट्रैक्स हैं, पार्क्स हैं. और ये जो मतलब खजूर वगैरह भी अभी है, लेकिन इट्स लाइक they are controlling their diet also. They are a nation, we are a crowd.
I have a question from Dr. Farah that have you included lifestyle modification in your diabetes program? Because in our university the students are working on that issue also. So can you throw some light on it?
Actually, we have infiltrated CBT, cognitive behavior therapy, with lifestyle changing. क्योंकि एक्चुअली नर्सिस का मोर जो है वो कम्युनिकेशन विद द पेशेंट है, तो उसमें लाइफस्टाइल चेंजिंग को हमने एक मॉड्यूल के तौर पे कोर्स में इंट्रोड्यूस कराया है कि आपने किस तरह लाइफस्टाइल की चेंजिंग के ऊपर उसके ऊपर काम करना है, फ्रॉम डाइट, एक्सरसाइज, स्ट्रेस लेवल, मेंटल हेल्थ इश्यूज़, इसको पूरा उसके अंदर लाइफस्टाइल मॉडिफिकेशन में कि आपका स्लीप पैटर्न क्या होना चाहिए, आपका मील प्लान्स कैसा होना चाहिए. यानी उसमें एक असाइनमेंट ये भी है कि मेक अ मील प्लान फॉर अ वीक, इंस्टेड ऑफ 3 meals plan for 5 divided meals which are healthy based. और इकोनॉमिक पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू से वो ऐसे बनने चाहिए कि हम उनको कोई ऐसी कीटो डाइट और इस टाइप की नहीं इंट्रोड्यूस कर रहे हैं, हम उनको बताएं जो आपके घर में अवेलेबल है उसको, व्हाट यू आर गोइंग टू यूज़ एंड हाउ यू आर गोइंग टू रिकमेंड इट. तो लाइफस्टाइल चेंजेस इज एक्चुअली फॉर द प्रिवेंशन and prevention of complication as well. You see, this is diabetes I consider as maybe you will not agree with me, I consider it not a disease. Actually it is the outcome of our bad habits. So when we change the bad habits, there will be a change.
And I have one suggestion for the forum that I have been listening to all the talks that we should include these things like mental health, lifestyle modifications, even reproductive health information. It was included in the syllabus long way back. It should be included in 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 students' syllabus so that they are aware of the problem, so they cannot say that nothing has been done for us. Thank you.
Thank you, Aisha. Dr. Mehtab.
Ji. I would like to take, carry on with Dr. Farid's comment, and of course, those 3 are a problem in Pakistan. But there are also solutions, not in Pakistan, but elsewhere. And that's elsewhere has been the another M, which is the military rule. Okay? And I have done the analysis. I'm talking on the sense of my own research. Wherever there has been military rule, starting with South Korea, then Thailand, then Bangladesh, Egypt, Tunisia, Turkey. Those were the periods when family planning programs were very successful, if you look at the history. Unfortunately, it didn't happen in Pakistan in 1970s. And because, of course, there have been other priorities, that Pakistan has other problems. So that could be a solution for us also.
Thank you. I am Akhtar, serving economics department here in NUST. So first of all, I appreciate all the three presenters. I mean, it's really informative and very nice presentations. So my question is basically to first presenter, Dr. Tahira. So the question is that overall family dynamics and things are also evolving and changing over the period of time, and so I mean the mother-in-law basically is also losing her power. I mean, it's not like their daughter-in-law is really scared that the mother-in-law will be the other way around right now. I mean, the things are changing quite rapidly. So the question is that do you think that it's really mother-in-law who can influence, or is basically the mother of the daughter? I mean, basically who can influence more actually, because the daughters listen to mother more instead of mother-in-law or things like that. So the question is basically that if in your studies you can also include the voice of mothers, so it might have more value. And the second is like, as already discussed, that it's basically like education and the wealth status of mother-in-law and the things like that. I mean, the different dynamics that can add more value. So I mean, this basically suggestion, and also I will like to hear from you that the daughters listen more to mothers instead of mother-in-law. So thank you.
So I really want to add my statement as well over that comment. We see that I work for the operations, and we work in the field on the daily basis, and currently the platform on which I am working, it's like TCI, the Challenge Initiative, and we are working on the health impact interventions, where I said that we are working on many of the activities. So this was just one phenomena or one behavior that I observed during my field operations, and out of somewhere I decided to deep side usko dig karne ki koshish kari ke how things come out. And I do believe, I do understand, and I agree with your comment कि supply is always there. हम कभी भी ये नहीं सुनेंगे कि population welfare department के पास अद्वियात ख़त्म हो गई हैं. They will never say that, and they will always comment कि if the demand is there, and we will facilitate to each and every district, right? But what's more important here, that behavioral change communication is one thing that we really need to work on. That I have highlighted in my recommendation as well, because behavioral change communication, it's not a moment process कि हमने आज सोच लिया और वो अभी हो गया. It takes years, and even it will take decades, and also it differs from class to class, families to families. But unfortunately हम urban slums में काम कर रहे हैं. अगर मैं कराची की बात करूँ तो 90 से ज़्यादा % जो शरह है वो हमारी urban slums के अंदर reside कर रही है. And unfortunately we do observe this behavior. Maybe this perspective do not exist in the middle class families or the elite class families. उनके अंदर ये नहीं होगा. And जो मेरा third theme था, it has given me the hope कि वो एक paradigm shift तो आ रहा है. Because जिस तरह से हम अब इसको बोलें कि अब मॉडर्नाइज हो रहे हैं या हमारे थॉट्स को एंटरटेन किया जा रहा है, द मदर इन लॉज इवन आर वे मोर एजुकेटेड. शायद हमारी दादियाँ इतनी तालीम याफ्ता नहीं थी, लेकिन अब हमारी मदर्स हैं, या हम व्हेन वी आर मदर्स, सो वी विल नेवर डू या इम्पोज आर decisions over my daughter-in-law, right? So things are changing, and it will change eventually, but this is a decade process. Behavioral change communication will take time.
Dr. Tahira, can you wrap up? Any last question? Oh, बोलो.
एक तो खैर चॉइस ऑफ मेथड का बहुत इशू रहता है, आपके पास अवेलेबिलिटी इस तरह नहीं होती. उससे शॉर्टेज एक बहुत बड़ा हमारा कंसर्न है पाकिस्तान का. ये होता है और है, वो बड़े सालों से चल रहा है मामला. दूसरा ये कि एक चीज़ याद रखें, देयर इज़ अ थिन लाइन बिटवीन फियर एंड कंसल्टेशन. आपकी फैमिली में जो है और फियर फैक्टर जो है वो ख़त्म होता जा रहा है कि जी वो पता नहीं ये हो जाएगा तो वो हो जाएगा. ये अब कहानी नहीं है, बहुत कम रह गई है. तो इसलिए इसको ना हमेशा हमें थोड़ा सा सेग्रीगेट करना चाहिए, इसको अलग रखना चाहिए कि ऐसा फियर फैक्टर नहीं है। कंसल्टेशन ज़ाहिर होती है हर स्टेज में, हर इशू में आपकी ज़िंदगी में चलती है, ठीक है, तो इसको ज़रा जहन में रखना चाहिए। थैंक यू।
इफ्तिखार हुसैन आदिल S3H से मैं हूँ और मेरा क्वेश्चन सेकंड प्रेजेंटर से है। उन्होंने बहुत सारी टेबुलेशन की है, क्रॉस टेबुलेशन भी नहीं, एनालिसिस भी कोई डिटेल नहीं है, लेकिन इम्प्लीकेशन बहुत सारी दे दी हैं, तो वो कहाँ से ड्राइव हुई हैं उसकी समझ नहीं आई।
इट्स माई फर्स्ट टाइम स्टडी, सो जिस पे मैं अभी जो है सर्वे कर रही हूँ, ये जर्नली थोड़े से रिकमेंडेशन थे क्योंकि ये कंटिन्यू ये स्टडी एंड आई वांट टू एस्टिमेट सम इम्प्लीकेशन। जी जी जी, आई नो।
स्टडी से ड्राइव होकर आती हैं, उसी डाटा से ड्राइव होकर आती हैं, जबकि डाटा से आपने कुछ ड्राइव नहीं किया, कोई टेस्ट नहीं लगाया, कोई मॉडल नहीं लगाया, सिंपली टेबुलेशन, इवन क्रॉस टेबुलेशन भी कहीं नज़र नहीं आई।
जी जी, आई नो अबाउट इट, क्योंकि ये यहाँ पर जो है ये जो स्टडी है अब ये कंटिन्यू है ना, क्योंकि जस्ट मैंने डेटा को कलेक्ट किया है, तो इंशाल्लाह आई विल वर्क ऑन, इंशाल्लाह आई विल कॉर्पोरेट योर सजेशन एंड इंशाल्लाह आई विल वर्क ऑन योर सजेशन।
एक्सपेक्टेड रिजल्ट्स
जी 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 जी, नहीं एक्सपेक्टेड रिजल्ट नहीं थे, इट जस्ट आई हैव कलेक्ट अ डेटा, लेकिन उस डेटा को अभी जो है मैंने जो है एनालाइज किए थे, इस वजह से।
शुक्रिया।
My question is to the Green Star marketing representative. So what are your marketing strategies to make the contraceptives easily accessible to the general public? For example, I was in the US and this is over the counter thing. You can go and you can collect and you can, you know, purchase very easily. But in Pakistan, it's a extremely private thing to buy and to take this home. So how are you countering this marketing challenge?
Okay, so first of all, social, when you started your question with the Green Star social marketing, so Green Star social marketing is working both with the government and the private sectors, right? We have our own social franchises and it's more than 200 social franchises all over Pakistan where they are, the outlets are built and people can go there, purchase there. Okay, so that's the different thing कि आप social franchises पे, जहाँ पे आपने ये बात करी कि it's a private thing, so we as a TCI we are entirely and collaborated with the government entities जिसके अंदर population welfare department, DOH and PPHI के साथ हम काम कर रहे हैं, and we have made sure, जो कि अगर हम 3.5-4 साल पहले देखें जब TCI का प्लेटफॉर्म नहीं आया था तो हेल्थ डिपार्टमेंट के पास तो कमोडिटीज़ होती ही नहीं थी। हमने जैसे डॉक्टर समीन से भी सुना कि डिस्ट्रिक्ट लेवल पे वी यूज्ड टू हियर कि भाई ये तो पॉपुलेशन वेलफेयर डिपार्टमेंट का काम है, ये तो हेल्थ डिपार्टमेंट का काम ही नहीं है। सो वी हैव मेड श्योर विद आर कैपेसिटी बिल्डिंग, विद आर कोचिंग मॉडल के हेल्थ डिपार्टमेंट भी इस चीज़ पे एम्फसाइज करे टू कीप ऑल द चॉइसेस ऑफ मेथड्स, सारी अद्वियात को अपनी प्राइमरी हेल्थ केयर की जितनी डिस्पेंसरीज़ हैं, सिंध गवर्नमेंट डिस्पेंसरीज़ हैं, BHUs हैं, MCH सेंटर्स हैं, उसके ऊपर भी रखे, फिर RHCs लेवल पे भी रखे और टर्शरी लेवल पे भी रखे। सो दिस थिंक आई थिंक हम अपने प्लेटफॉर्म के थ्रू इस चीज़ पे हम काम कर रहे हैं जिसको हम हाई इम्पैक्ट इंटरवेंशंस के नाम से हम कहते हैं। एंड फॉर द ऑडियंस अवेयरनेस या हम अपनी कैचमेंट की अवेयरनेस के लिए वी आर कंडक्टिंग हंड्रेड्स ऑफ कैंप्स ऑन मंथली बेसिस, हंड्रेड्स ऑफ सेटेलाइट कैंप्स जो कि फार फ्लंग एरियाज़ के अंदर होते हैं और जहाँ पे FOC फ्री ऑफ कॉस्ट सारी अद्वियात को फराहम किया जाता है टू द क्लाइंट्स हुएवर नीड्स इट, जहाँ पे फ्री कंसल्टेशन होती है। सो दिस इज़ वो जो आपने बोला ना मार्केटिंग स्ट्रैटेजी का वर्ड, मैं उसको वोकैबलरी जो है उसको मैं बोलूँगी वो हाई इम्पैक्ट इंटरवेंशन है, जो कि हम फैमिली हेल्थ डेज़ या सेटेलाइट कैंप्स के मद में हम अपनी जो कम्युनिटी है, हमारी कैचमेंट, हमारी ऑडियंस है, हम उनको फराहम कर रहे हैं और इंशाल्लाह करते रहेंगे।
I want to wrap up the whole session. Very encouraging research from the two and our colleagues. The title of the session was Provincial Realities and Local Responses. What I hear from them are local responses rather than anything on provincial realities. Provincial realities में अगर जब देखें, there are a number of things that we need to know, and I think each one of you should be acknowledging that too in your research, coming research. चाहे वो अर्बन रूरल डिस्पैरिटी है, अपना आपका सैम्पल में वो होना चाहिए. कम्युनिकेशन डिस्पैरिटीज़ हैं, न्यू टेक्नोलॉजीज आजकल जो आ रही हैं, AI को कह लें आप, या फिर जो आप सोशल मीडिया है उसका इस्तेमाल है. इसी तरह आपकी डेफिनेटली both of you have raised the issue of cultural differences both in the families and also within the couples. A very important barrier. And social communication इसमें एक बहुत important area है that you have pointed out. Access जो अभी हमारे दोस्त ने जिक्र किया, access to family planning has definitely been an issue ever since we have the programs, चाहे वो health का है, population का है. These are all issues that need to be identified. 18th Amendment ने आके एक और dimension दे दी है पूरे पाकिस्तान को कि हर province अपने आप एक नए अंदाज से देखता है. How do we really see population issues? Balochistan sees differently, KP sees differently, Sindh sees differently. So there has to be a national policy कह लें या national framework कह लें that should direct all the provinces to implement amendment accordingly, rather than everybody have their own shop to sell. Regarding the family issues, I think in the last 4 decades what I've seen is breaking of the joint family. The breaking of the joint family has led to lesser role of MIL, okay? ये अब बहुत important issue है that you should have pointed out, especially in urbanization issues. और आपका rural urban का जो है वो बड़ा important था that you need to identify and also work on. Your recommendations are very, very accurate, that we need to basically focus on social communication and to basically focus on improving the access to religious leaders of the husbands. And I've seen a number of projects on male involvement, but I think you should also be very important, especially. Swabi is one of the most advanced districts in KP. I think it's again a deviant. We should be doing that in Kohat or Hangu or somewhere else so that we can really see the influence of the cultural and also. So I look forward to कि आप आइंदा जो करेंगे research, you should be comparing it with more districts so that we should be learning more from the ground and also from the. Aapka definitely you have been a very good experience. Again, I would like to say that diabetes is across Pakistan, right? So you need to basically focus on provinces and districts and areas and regions which have higher diabetes. And I think you should also be part of the national surveys like MIX, MICS or PIHS, जिसमें diabetes के measurement की होना चाहिए, so that you should be able to focus on training nurses on those areas which have higher diabetes. Okay, I thank you very much for all your presence, and we conclude this session.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Tawseef, for your very insightful comments. And my apologies to the two ladies. We had no time for your question and answer. Over to you, Simon.
Thank you so much, Minhaj Sab, and I would thanks all the presenters for sharing their insightful research with us. So thank you so much. Now I would like to request Ms. Simi Ashfaq, please come forward and present the shields to our chair, discussant and moderator. Please. Dr. Tawseef, thank you so much for chairing this session, and your remarks and insights are always very valid and thought-provoking. Thank you so much.